Good morning to all of you. So we were studying chapter number 10 of subject science, that is motion and measurement of distances. This is your lecture number 6. This is your summary lecture. So we will summarize the complete chapter in this lecture. Okay. Of transport. So students, long time ago, means before many years, people did not have any means of transport. Means they don't have any source or means of transport. They used to move only on foot, means only by walking, and carry goods either on their back or by using animals. Like in this picture, it is shown that ponies carry goods on their back to transport it from one place to another place. Why? Because at that time they don't have any other means of transport. Okay. For transport along water routes, boats were used from ancient times. Means for transportation along water, they were used boats. But in the beginnings, boats were simple logs of wood in which a hollow cavity could be made, like shown in first figure, and later people learnt to put together different pieces of wood and give shapes to the boats. Means they have learnt that how to make boat, and they begin to use boat for transport along water routes. Okay, so these are some water transports. And after some time, people invent the wheel, and the invention of wheel made a great change in modes of transport. The design of wheel was improved over thousands of years, and animals were used to pull vehicles that moved on wheels. Like people begin to use wheel in making carts, and these carts were pulled by animals as shown in this picture. Okay. Means because of the invention of wheel, it is easier to transport the goods from one place to another place. Okay. Until the beginning of the 19th century, people still depended on animal power to transport them from one place to place. But the invention of steam engine introduced a new source of power. Like steam engines are used in trains, and it has become more easier to move from one place to another. Okay, so the invention of steam engine brings a great change in modes of transport. Later came automobiles, motorized boats and ships were used as means of transport on water. And after that, aeroplanes were developed, and these were later improved to carry passengers and as well as goods. Like electric trains, supersonic aeroplanes and spacecraft are some of the 20th century contributions. Now this figure shows some of the different modes of transport. Okay. These are the different modes of transport, and you have to place them in the correct order, like from the earliest modes of transport to the most recent. So this is all about the story of transport. So now we will talk about the measurement. That what is measurement? How can we define measurement? So students, in this scientific language, estimation is called measurement. We are estimating many things in our daily life. For example, how much food needs to be cooked for the family is estimated by your mother, right? And similarly, how far is your school from your house is estimated by your parents. Okay, and after that, they can decide how to send you to school by bus or by bicycle or by walking. Okay, so this estimation of things is called measurement. All properties of matter can be measured using different methods. Okay, all properties of matter can be measured using different methods. But now the question arises in our mind that how do we measure things? What is the exact criteria? How do we measure things? So let us try to know the answer of this question. Different things are measured in different ways, right? Like length is measured in meter or centimeter. Volume is measured in liter. It means what? Different things are measured in different ways. These measurements depend on the purpose for which we measure and on the properties of the quantity or substance to be measured. Means the ways of measuring things are not same. Different things are measured in different ways. When we measure a quantity, we compare it with a standard value. For example, length is measured in meters, mass is measured in grams or kilograms, volume of liquid measured in liters, and these standard values of matter or substance are called units. Okay, these standard values like meter, kilogram, liter, they are called units. These standard values of matter are called units. All measurable properties of matter have units, but these units vary from place to place. For example, in earlier times, distance was measured in kos or yojan in India, but distance was measured in yard and mile in UK. Similarly, length was measured in gaz. Okay, and values of these units differ from each other, which leads confusion in the exchange of information between countries. Means these values vary according to the countries. Or we can say distance was measured in kos in India, but in yard and mile in UK. So it creates confusion in the exchange of information between different countries. So to overcome this problem, standard units were developed. Okay, to remove this confusion, standard units were developed, and these units were developed by a group of scientists from all over the world. Okay, and this was done in 1960. So what are standard units? The set of units which is same all over the world is called the SI system of units or SI units. Okay, means these units are same all over the world. For example, the SI unit of length is meter. It means what? The unit of length is meter in our country and in other countries also. Means length will be always measured in meter. Okay, in all the countries. So the set of units which is same all over the world is called SI unit. Now the following table gives the basic SI units of measurement. This table is divided into 3 parts. First part is quantity, second is unit name, and third is symbol. So the quantity is length, then the unit of length is meter, and it is represented by a letter small m. Okay, it is always represented by small m. SI unit of mass is kilogram, and it is represented by kg. SI unit of time is second, and its symbol is small s. SI unit of temperature is Kelvin, and it is represented by capital K. Students, remember one thing. Smaller masses are measured in grams and larger masses in kilogram. And in 1 kilogram there are 1000 grams. 1 kilogram is equal to 1000 grams. Similarly, larger distances can be measured in kilometer and smaller in meter and very small in centimeter. In 1 kilometer there are 1000 meter, means 1 kilometer is equal to 1000 meter. 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeter, means in 1 meter there is 100 centimeter. And 1 millimeter, this mm is millimeter, is equal to 0.1 centi. Before studying the various ways of measuring length, first of all, you should know that what is length. How can we define length? So children, length is the distance between 2 points. Okay, what is length? Length is the distance between 2 points, and measurement of length is done in 2 ways. Okay, measurement of length is done in 2 ways. One is to know the dimension or size of an object. That what is the size of an object? And dimensions means like length, breadth, height. Okay. And other is to measure distance between 2 points. Now a question is, how is length measured? How can we measure the length of an object? So children, you know, in ancient times, means long time ago, length has been measured in different units, which were as follows. Means the units were different for measuring the length. So, what are that units? First is handspan. What is handspan? The distance between the tip of the little finger and the thumb of a hand when it is stretched is called handspan. Means in ancient times, length has been measured in handspan, like 1 handspan, 2 handspan, 3 handspan. Okay, as shown in the picture. And second is cubit. Now what is cubit? The distance between the elbow and the tip of the middle finger of a hand is called cubit. This is the another way for measuring the length. Okay. 1 cubit is shown in the picture. Okay. And the another one is footsteps or foot span. So what is footstep? The distance between the 2 feet when a person takes a step. This is called footstep as shown in the figure. So children, in ancient time, people measured the length in handspan, okay, in cubit and in footstep. They measure the length of the objects like 1 footstep, 2 footstep, okay, or 1 handspan, 1 cubit, 2 cubit, in this way. But the problem is, this is not the correct way of measurement, because the length of footstep, handspan, cubit is vary from person to person, right? Like the length of my handspan and your handspan is different. Similarly, the length of cubit or arm length is not similar to your arm length. That's why it is not the correct way of measuring length, because it's vary from person to person. That's why it creates confusion. Okay. So these methods are not appropriate to measure the length of an object. Okay. So now we will study the correct measurement of length. That what is the correct measurement of length? The SI unit of length is meter. Means, to overcome this confusion, scientists have made a standard unit that we have discussed in the previous lecture, right? That is called SI unit. Okay, and the SI unit of length is meter. It is useful to measure short lengths and distances. To measure very short distances, then centimeter is used. Okay, and to measure very short distance, millimeter are used. 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeter. Now suppose if we want to measure the length of a rectangular box. Okay, so the way which are showing in picture A and B is correct. You can use a scale to measure the length. Okay. Place the scale in contact with the object along its length as shown in figure A. And in some scales the ends may be broken, so you may not be able to see the 0 mark clearly. So in such cases you should avoid taking measurement from the 0 mark of the scale. You can use any other full mark of the scale, say 1 centimeter. So these are the correct ways to measure the length of the rectangular box. Okay. And the method which is shown in this picture is incorrect. Okay, this method is not correct. This method of placing the scale along the length is not correct. Now our next term is motion. Now look at your surrounding. You will see there are many things which are in motion. Means there are many things which are moving and some are not moving. So these moving objects changes position with time. So when an object changes position with time with respect to observer is said to be in motion. Now what does it mean? Suppose you are standing along the road, okay, and a car is moving on the road. So with respect to you, the car is in motion. Means with respect to you, with respect to observer, car is in motion. You are the observer. Okay. So when an object changes position with time, with respect to observer, is said to be in motion. Okay. Like if a car is moving, if a car changes position with time, with respect to observer, like you, then that car is said to be in motion. Now, what about stationary objects? Means the objects which does not change position. So when an object does not change position with time, then it is said to be at rest. Okay, I am repeating. When an object does not change position with time, then it is said to be at rest or stationary object. Okay, like your table, your chair. Okay, these are rest. Now in this lecture, we will discuss about the types of motion. There are different types of motion like rectilinear motion, curvilinear motion, circular motion, periodic and non-periodic motion. So let us study each type of motion one by one. Okay. So our first type of motion is rectilinear motion. What is rectilinear motion? The motion of a body in a straight line is called rectilinear motion. Suppose if we are moving on a straight road, it means we are moving along a straight line. Then our motion is said to be rectilinear motion. And the another example of rectilinear motion is motion of a lift. Look at this picture. This picture shows motion of a lift. And this motion of a lift is an example of rectilinear motion. Second is curvilinear motion. What is curvilinear motion? The motion of a body on a curved path is called curvilinear motion. Means when any object, living or non-living, or any body move on a curved path, then the motion is said to be curvilinear motion. For example, if a car taking a turn on a road, then car is said to be in curvilinear motion. Now our next type is circular motion. What is circular motion? When a body moves along circular path, then it is said to be in circular motion. For example, motion of wheels of vehicles. Means the motion of wheels of all vehicles, or we can say motion of wheel of a bicycle, is always to be in circular motion. It is always in circular motion because it always move along circular path. Next is periodic motion. What is periodic motion? A motion that repeats itself after equal interval of time is known as periodic motion. Means if any body, if any object repeats its motion after equal time interval, means after same time interval, then it is known as periodic motion. For example, motion of a swing. Like if a girl is on a swing, then this motion is said to be periodic. Motion of a simple pendulum. This is an example of periodic motion because it repeats its motion after every equal interval of time. It is also called the oscillatory motion. Here you can see that this pendulum repeats its path. Okay, it repeats its motion after every equal interval of time. It is moving from O to A to O, and again O to B. Okay, so it means it repeats its motion and cover the same path. That's why it is an example of periodic motion. Non-periodic motion. Now what is non-periodic motion? A motion that does not repeat itself after equal interval of time is known as non-periodic motion. You can write any example in non-periodic motion, like motion of a car, okay, and motion of a person. So you can write any example. Students, your homework is do assignment number 1, which have been uploaded on EdQuark. Solve all the questions which are given in the assignment. So this ends for today's lecture.